Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Ribbit and Ribbit. And this is a strange one. Granted, I enjoyed it, though there are a lot of weird things that kind of happened that I don't know how I can fully give my take on it to a degree, because here's the thing, this is where we finally get Daredevil fully introduced into the MCU. We had him pop up with Spider-Man No Way Home. However, with the events of everything kind of going on in that movie, I don't know if he's still technically in there or whatnot. So this was the first hey, and I think from what we're getting that it's still kind of hooked up to what happened in the Netflix shows. Now, the thing is, I have not watched the Daredevil Netflix shows, so I cannot say that it is an accurate kind of representation of shifting Daredevil from there to here. Granted, I still enjoyed seeing him working around and everything. He was pretty much the best parts of this episode. However, I can't speak to it working out to the same kind of effect. Kind of similar to Hawkeye with how Kingpin was done. Now, it also does some weird kind of stuff because it screws over Jen to a degree within certain instances. I don't mean just narratively, but when things kind of go down, it's okay, this thing is a little bit longer than 30 minutes, not the usual kind of 40 some hour long length can. So of course pacing issues kind of pop up and you get a lot of stuff going on that goes kind of faster. So let's kind of actually just get into it, because we are introduced to, Frogman, but in this instance called Leapfrog. He's this important client for the law firm, and we see him pretty much regaling how he got injured doing his thing, trying to stop these people from stealing these TVs and stuff, as they're pretty much talking about the differences between OLED and QLED. It's the kind of background stuff that kind of gets you in this one. And there's some interesting, deeper kind of lore implications that do pop up within certain instances in this episode, which hopefully gets reiterated further on down the line. So he's recounting how he's trying to stop him, and then he gets burned, and he wants to sue the Luke Jacobson person that creates all the different kind of suits for all the different kinds of heroes. She-Hulk, of course, is not happy about this fact, saying it's conflict of interest. He's the only one that can actually fucking make shit for physique. Brings it to the head dude's nah, you're gonna do it. Very much plot demand, be whatever. It's there are fucking things that you gotta fucking do with this stuff. It's oh god, if you're going to be a lawyer show, you need to get that shit right. It's they intentionally go out of their way to kind of hamstring that as much as possible and push that as much to the background. Now, granted, pretty much knowing that I think it's a weakness because they don't know that much about it, but that is a big part of She-Hulk's character and persona and what she does. So it's alright, whatever. So at first she goes to Jacobson to be hey, listen, how about we just try and do a settlement thing? He's fuck this shit. And he's making the gala dress for her. He's fuck this shit. Fuck it. Fuck. And she's alright, fuck you, man. We're going to sue the shit out of you. And walks out, and then they get to the court date, and we see that Jacobson is being represented by Matt Murdock. Let me see here. I just want to make sure. Yeah, Jacobson. And he pops in. I can see why people like him so much as Matt Murdock. He just really has a kind of charisma with the role, at least what I've been seeing for him. And I think I would probably like him better within the Netflix one, because She-Hulk's is more as a comedy, so when you bring other characters in, you kind of take the dominant kind of one's tone and everything. It doesn't completely fuck him over, you know what I mean? He doesn't go completely laughs a minute kind of gag shit, you know what I mean? But it, of course, kind of changes how he has to kind of operate. So he gets in there and pretty much, like, destroys the case because She-Hulk pretty much thought that she'd have a clear-cut case and be like, all right, some malfunction, neglect kind of spiel. And the thing is, she wanted access to Jacobson's list of superheroes that he has worked with to see if any other ones have been malfunctioning. And this is the best kind of part because it actually gets into the kind of lawyering kind of bit of what's kind of going on. And Matt's like, no, you can't do that because right to privacy and everything like that. The Sokovia Accords are evidently been repealed. That is a big fucking thing to drop in this show. It's like, holy shit, it's kind of like dropping the mutants in Ms. Marvel. I kind of wish that had been handled in a bigger kind of thing because that's a big drop to have this go on. It's like, wow, okay, so there you can have pretty much privacy as a superhero like that. That's a big thing that Matt's able to kind of like hit down, and the judge is like pretty much agreeing with him on all the kind of stuff. Of course, they bring out the suit, and Matt's, of course, able to tell that something else is going on with the suit because of smell. He's like, what the fuck did you put in those boosters? It's like, oh, jet fuel. And, of course, that completely and utterly wins the case for Jacobson because he didn't follow the instructions. And why in the good fucking God would you put jet fuel in boosters on you? Like, if that shit goes up, of course you're gonna get fucking flambéed and shit. And it's like, yeah, Jacobson. And he, She-Hulk tries to apologize to him, and he's like, no, fuck you. Alright. So, she's pretty much just kind of tooling around before she gets a call from Eugene, because he's getting attacked by... Well, first we see that Matt has a kind of good conversation with Jen at the kind of watering hole, pretty much trying to get a feel for talking about her lawyering practice and his lawyering practice, doing one for them, which is the client that she just did, one for us, and how this was both a kind of them scenario and how She-Hulk can do stuff that can help people that get let down by the law, whereas Jen can do stuff that can help people that have been let down in other ways by helping them out with the law. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. But of course, Matt has to go. It says that he was really nice meeting her, and that there's kind of a connection there that we see going on later on. So then, of course, that's when Jen gets the kind of call from Eugene that he's being attacked by an unknown assailant. She kind of goes out in her She-Hulk form and in her suit. So this is where we get her reveal on that. And this is where it gets kind of fuckity-doo-dah, fuckity-day, where we get superheroes not understanding what's kind of going on, attacking each other before they, like, do their team up. But it really showed that, She-Hulk barely had any kind of, like, training under Bruce. I mean, granted, she can, like, control her transformations and everything like that, given certain circumstances and barring any plot demanding that she doesn't turn into She-Hulk at whatever given point. But she doesn't know how to modulate her strength for the threat at hand, because at this point, we have only seen the Daredevil using his kind of cool acrobatic moves, which, by the way, works very well. And the thing is, if you're a show that's doing more kind of comedy-based stuff and limits its action as much as possible, it really kind of shows, because I have heard various good things about Daredevil's action scenes. However, you do get some of that here, but that's mainly because of the actor knowing the character well enough to do some kick-ass kind of moves, rather than the showrunners knowing how to do it. Because we start going through this, and Jen is, like, destroying property, like, willy-nilly. Like, she doesn't even know what the fuck she's doing, and she's going after this guy. Like, she doesn't see any evidence that this person is, like, super durable, has super strength, or anything to that kind of point. And she's, like, cracking this, like, parking garage. She's, like, tossing vehicles and, like, destroying things in such a way that's like, sweet Jesus, you really need to kind of get more understanding on how to modulate your powers to the threat at hand. Now, granted, if they take that into consideration and show her learning and doing better, I'm okay with that. Okay? That is a pivotal kind of thing for growth and everything going on with that. Whenever you see a superhero trying to, like, do that kind of stuff, I'm cool with that. as long as it's not hand-waved away. It's just like, oh yeah, cool action scene, Michael Bay, that shit. Explosions! Da-da-da-da-da-da. That is where I'm just like, oh, no. Do not do that. And I do love that Matt's like, why are you doing all this property damage? Because she, like, thunderclaps one, and of course this fucks him over because of his hearing. She, like, grabs him and immediately unmasks him. And it's just like, oh, cool. I guess we're going with that. I kind of wanted it to be kind of drug out a little bit more. But of course, they don't really have enough time, and they're just, like, going super fast paced with everything like this, and it's, like, 30 minutes or whatnot. And she's like, what the fuck are you, the Golden Devil? It's like, no, Daredevil. And she's like, then why are your colors like ketchup and mustard? Which I don't blame, because I understand what they were kind of going for with like the original. There's no, I don't know if it's an original, but one of the kind of Daredevil ones is like a kind of yellow and red kind of effect that really doesn't really work as much here showcased wise. But she's like, are you not blind? He's like, oh no, I'm blind. I just have better senses and stuff. It's like, oh, echolocation, a little bit different, but yeah. And then he pretty much gives the rundown that Eugene had decided to kidnap Jacobson and that he was going after him to do that. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then they team up, get to the hideout. We get them kind of talking about like the difference between henchmen who are really into the goal of the organization versus goons. And Daredevil's trying to take point on this because, granted, he has been doing this longer and he's just going to go in and take people out in as stealthy a position as possible. Or she's just like, I could just go in and like smash it. It's like, yeah, you could, but you could also kind of limit the amount of damage that you do and take people out in a kind of effective way. Then we get the kind of cool Daredevil kind of scene where he's like cracking out through this hallway, which, by the way, isn't the worst action scene that I've seen. It limits the amount of cuts and at least gets to showcase Matt's use of his different kind of physical abilities and his like his not nunchucks, but like his baton sticks. And I was like, okay, before like they get like backup coming in and She-Hulk smashes down and pretty much takes that. Then we get to Eugene pretty much doing his monologue kind of stuff to Jacobson before we get She-Hulk just smashing shit again, as there's this like art, because this dude's got all these Frogger kind of games and shit and frog themed shit. It is funny because some of his goons were like, why the fuck are they calling us tadpoles and baby frogs? What the fuck kind of shit? So, yeah, okay, that's the kind of funny shit that I would want to hear in this kind of comedy show. I'm like, alright, okay. So we see that she's pretty much trying to make Eugene give himself up to stop from pretty much incriminating himself and getting more into trouble, as Daredevil's running around the room pretty much cracking ass and taking names and shit. And then they pretty much get him, and Jacob's like, alright, we're cool, I'll do your shit, we're alright. And then She-Hulk's Jen pretty much goes like, oh, he kind of goes off. Her and Matt pretty much are just like talking and everything, and he's like, well, maybe next time we'll go out to dinner or whatnot. Just like, maybe we could skip it. And they pretty much proceed to bang as Jen and Matt, not as She-Hulk and Matt, which I'm like, okay, that's an interesting choice. As I do like the funny bit. I'm like, okay, that moved pretty fast, which of course it's going to move fast. Again, I wish that it had taken a little bit longer. I mean, I don't need them to take like fucking 30 seasons. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a person that's a slow burner. Like, I want you to take 30 seasons and I want them to take like 30 fucking episodes to get to hand holding. I'm not that fat. I'm not that bad, okay? It's like, okay, they really just met in this episode. They're banging. One of the cool bits that I like to see was like how unwieldy it is to go from like in your superhero suit to like, okay, we want to bang. How the fuck are we kind of getting through this? As they kind of dealt with that, and they bang, and then we see fucking Daredevil doing the walk of shame with, okay, he's doing the walk of shame outside. He's not wearing his boots, but he's in the full costume as like this woman walks by and like, yep. And Nikki's like commenting, where the fuck did I see a dude in a devil costume doing the walk of shame? I just want to know why he put his entire outfit on except his boots. Now, granted, him being able to feel through his feet and everything like that, I get that. And I could potentially accept that. It's just, why is he all dressed up and then just no boots? And then She-Hulk's like, why is this episode still going on? Kind of Ferris Bueller-like, which I appreciated. Then she's like, what's going on? Oh shit, next time's the finale. What are we getting? Like, another Hulk, but it's red? Me getting fridged? So I kind of like, okay, yeah, those two possibilities were interesting. And then we get to the gala where she's in her outfit, which is nice. And then we see that, oh yeah, she also had this bit where the tech bro's like, oh, I got this Wakandan spear and shit, and they're like, coming after me, but I paid money for it. It's like, yeah, but it was probably stolen from Wakanda, you douche fuck. Like, you douche fucker. Like, what the fuck? Of course. Like, yeah, you might have paid for it, but, it whole gets into that kind of bit of like, yeah, I came into your country and stole your shit. Never mind that it could be linked to, like, somebody's shit or like their tech and everything like that. It's just like, yeah. It's like when the Nazis stole shit. It's like, yeah, we got this art. It's like, yeah, but about that? Yeah, from the Nazis that stole from those people. So guess what, fuckaroo? But that douche bro is there at the gala thing. They go, and instead of She-Hulk just getting it, it's all these female lawyers getting it. So it's like, all right, weird, but go for it. And they're pretty much just saying what they're thankful for and everything like that, though Mallory's like, Bucks is like, whatever. She-Hulk's thanking her parents before the intelligentsia pretty much do this thing where we see her pretty much getting ready to screw Josh and everything, and they're just pretty much tearing down She-Hulk in a revenge porn kind of way, and she's getting pissed off because it's on this like video wall and everything, and nobody's being able to kind of like take it on, and she smashes that, which in an episode where she has like smashed a lot of shit that really didn't need to be smashed, this one I understand her being angered of what's kind of going on, as we then see some of the intelligentsia people and she then goes after them. But then I see the fastest fucking use of any agency I have ever seen in my entire life, where damage control is outside and doesn't even like take the person that is was pretty much in She-Hulk's grip of like, hey, why the fuck are you like trying to hide your identity and running away from like a scene of a crime kind of thing. And they're like, oh, hold on, She-Hulk. It's like, alright. And the thing is, she's not going completely and utterly nutso jambo. She destroyed one video wall, was going after one dude, and granted, even in most of the Hulk kind of level of rage things that have gone on, had pretty much contained it. It's really kind of strange because in her anger in this portion, she was more controlled in her kind of like destruction and going after bad guys than she was literally in the same episode going after Daredevil and the fucking frog dude shit. Strange. But I don't know how damage control would have gotten there fast enough. Granted, again, pacing, we have to do this to get to whatever fucking story end this finale is going to end at, because fuck if I know, this thing has been like pretty much as episodic as possible and has barely any connective tissue of other than this is Jen's story as we deal with other kind of weird shit while we just make sure that cameos pop up to get people interested. And I'm just like, I was interested in Jen as She-Hulk before. And I don't mind cameos unless that's all they're pretty much done for. Like Daredevil, like Wong, like Emil, like Titania, actually. I don't know, man. This has been one weird fucking show. So we'll kind of have to see how the last episode deals with this and how this kind of goes moving forward with other kind of Marvel things. I have seen mostly worse shows, but like this isn't doing a good job of showcasing why we need the Marvel shows. They're adding less. It's less and less being able to explain the added value that these have, because you have to then you have to be careful when you do these things. If you're doing something within a giant kind of narrative framework, you have to make sure that if you're doing things that are important to pushing the narrative forward, that they have to be done in things that most people would kind of consume them for. That's why you would have most of the big kind of shit going down in the MCU movies. And this, you either have to be like, okay, only the hardcore are going to watch it and get added value out of it, and so you have to explain shit again, like, we're going to have to find another movie that's going to explain that mutants are a factor and that the Sokovia Accords have been repealed. Just like we had with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, giving us a lowdown of what was going on with Scarlet Witch if you hadn't watched WandaVision. However, I do think that was done well enough in that it didn't, like, you didn't have to take an enormous amount of time to do that. But if they continue to do shows like this, where more and more people be like, I just don't want to watch all of this, because you're going for a quantity versus quality approach, where it's like, okay, granted, you can then be more selective on what you want to watch, but then you're doing that kind of balancing act. You either consume everything and hope you don't miss anything, in the hopes that you're trying to get everything possible, or you're selective and it's like, okay, some things work and some things don't, but you don't miss something gigantically important. So we'll kind of have to see how this kind of goes moving forward and what's going to be happening in this season finale. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.